About 13.75 billion years ago, our universe, as we know it today, was created. Shortly thereafter, the primordial light began to shoot through the cosmos and spread throughout the entire early universe. At this time, the universe itself also expanded. However, the inflation of the universe slowed down after the first initial eruption. But since then, the rate of expansion has been steadily increasing due to the influence of increasing dark energy. In essence, the cosmos has been growing at an ever-increasing rate since its creation. Physicists and mathematicians have been studying the nature of the universe for hundreds of years, trying to solve the mysteries it contains. But there are some scientists who go one step further into the unknown by thinking about what lies beyond the boundaries of our universe. Is it possible that there is something else beyond the existence of our own universe? Other universes, worlds whose existences we can only guess at. That could well be the case. Hubble volume. The notion of outside the universe is very tricky because first the universe has to be defined more precisely. A common formulation, which does more justice to the core of the matter, is the term the observable universe, whereby the speed of light plays a major role. Here, since we can only see things when the light that they emit or reflect reaches us, we can never see further than the greatest distance that light can travel in the time that the universe has existed. Cosmologists estimate that the oldest photons we can observe have traveled a distance of 45 to 47 billion light years since the Big Bang. This means that the observable universe is about 93 billion light years large, plus or minus a few light years. These approximately 93 billion million light years contain all the quarks, quasars, stars, planets, nebulas, black holes ever recorded by a telescope, and everything else that we might be able to observe but have not yet seen. However, the observable universe contains only the light that has had time to reach us. This also means that the observable universe is getting bigger and bigger. However, the universe is also finite. The limited amount is also called the Hubble volume, after the telescope that has given us the most distant views of the universe so far. We will never be able to see beyond this limit, so it's basically the only universe with which we can ever interact. However, we know with a probability bordering on certainty that there is more universe beyond that limit. Astronomers believe that space invisible to us could also be infinite, with matter, energy, galaxies, etc., distributed pretty much exactly as in the observable universe. Beyond the Hubble volume, we will not only encounter the same kind of stuff we are familiar with, we will also find completely new phenomena that are impossible for us to say anything about until they can be observed. I hope this punctuation helps in clarifying the text. If you need further assistance, feel free to ask. The universe is vast and full of potential discoveries. As we explore, we may find more planets, some of which could closely resemble our Earth. In fact, cosmologists believe that if we venture far enough beyond the boundaries of the universe, we might even encounter another Hubble volume identical to ours, complete with alternate versions of ourselves making different choices. However, reaching the edge of the observable universe presents significant challenges, as current understanding of physics suggests that surpassing the speed of light or transcending spacetime using wormholes or warp propulsion is highly improbable. In 2008, astronomers made a surprising discovery known as dark flow, where galactic clusters were observed moving in the same direction at immense speeds. Further observations in 2010 confirmed this phenomenon, suggesting that massive structures outside the Hubble volume might be exerting gravitational influence. This challenges previous assumptions about the uniformity of the universe's structure and raises the possibility of varied and unimaginable formations beyond our known universe. Talking about things outside the Hubble volume may push the limits of our current understanding, but it also highlights the incredible potential for discovery and the continuous expansion of our knowledge of the universe. And there are various theories about what lies beyond our observable universe. It's important to note that the expansion of the universe led to the formation of bubbles, with each bubble giving rise to its own universe, each with its unique physical laws and constants. Even if we were to somehow breach the boundary of one bubble, the space between them would continue to expand indefinitely, making it impossible to reach the next bubble regardless of speed. One theory posited by physicist Lee Smolin, known as the theory of fertile universes, suggested a connection between black holes and the creation of new universes with slightly different physical laws. However, this theory has been disproven. Another compelling concept involves string theory and the oscillation of membranes in the 11th dimension, which could lead to the formation of new universes when these oscillations collide. This theory also helps to explain the observed distribution of matter in our universe. Shifting our focus to Mars, the InSight lander made history by touching down on the surface of the red planet in November 2018. This mission is unique due to its specialized design and equipment. The launch itself was a tense moment, given the history of failed missions to Mars. The InSight mission has the potential to uncover crucial discoveries about Mars, and scientists are eager to uncover its hidden secrets. The launch attempt was delayed for several months due to a vacuum leak in the SEIS instrument, but all went well in Earth orbit. InSight slowly detached from the rocket stages and then floated freely in space. The lander was in space for 6.5 months. The technical device covered 484 million km until it entered the thin atmosphere of Mars, 125 kilometers above the surface, on November 26, 2018. The probe, which weighed just 700 kilograms, hurtled through the atmosphere at almost 2,000 kilometers / having to withstand temperatures of around 1,500 degrees C to ensure that the fine measuring instruments on board the probe and all the other expensive gimmicks could withstand this extreme stress. InSight was securely packed in a kind of protective cover. The probe covered the last few meters hanging from a parachute, and its own small rocket engines provided the necessary counter-thrust to let the probe land safely and softly on the Martian soil. As soon as it arrived, InSight began deploying its solar panels and taking initial measurements. Thus began some 4 years of exciting Mars exploration. Past Mars missions, InSight was the first high-power seismic measurement station on Mars. NASA had previously sent 2 other main missions to Mars equipped with seismometers. However, the technology of Viking 1 and Viking 2, which were launched in the 1970s, cannot be compared to the technical capabilities of InSight. Moreover, the Viking missions were quite a bust. The seismometer of Viking 1 did not work properly during the landing and could not be used at all. Viking 2 was able to take measurements, but the instruments were so poorly calibrated after landing that it has always remained unclear whether the probe's measurements were due to seismic activity or wind. InSight's mission and challenges. InSight was intended to make up for this failure of the Viking missions. After many years, the probe's main objective was clearly to survey and explore the interior of Mars. For this purpose, the lander, which was about 1 meter high and 6 meters long, was equipped with a seismometer, a windscreen, and a highly mobile robotic arm. The necessary power was provided by the 2 solar panels that gave this probe its distinctive appearance. In addition to the seismic instruments, InSight had a complete small weather station on board and a robotic arm called the Mole, which the probe would use to dig deep into the Martian soil to take temperature measurements in the upper layers of rock. First data fascinated even during the landing approach, and with the solar panels still folded in, InSight began collecting data at NASA. Scientists and technicians alike were beside themselves. The lander picked up vibrations from Martian winds and for the first time filmed clouds of water ice passing directly overhead. Tapes of the sound of Mars have been thrilling millions of people on the web since the mission launch. The secret of seismic activity. Seismic signals are any vibrations or intrinsic sounds that a planet experiences or produces. Like Earth, Mars is not silent inside, or at least we know that now and thanks to InSight. Before, it was not so clear to scientists just how alive and active Mars still is. Today, the planet appears to be a desolate rocky world with stunning rock formations, sweeping mountains, and deep canyons, but traces of life or vegetation are completely absent, as is evidence of liquid water. There are several references to dried-up lakes, but where has all the water gone? Oceans and rivers? If Mars was once a mild water world, in addition to monitoring seismic activity, such as Mars quakes, InSight was designed to scan the interior of Mars. Over the months, a perfect map of the Martian interior emerged thanks to the recording of internal waves. On these interior maps, researchers hoped there should also be evidence of underground lakes or water deposits, But first, the scientists' main interest was the activity of the Martian quakes. InSight has recorded about 450 seismic tremors. These Mars quakes are usually very fine and uniform. The strongest of them have magnitudes of 4.0 to 5.0, although the vast majority of quakes stayed well below that. The sound of Mars' interior was surprising, as researchers detected tremors with a repetition frequency similar to the human heartbeat. It almost seemed as if Mars was more alive inside than scientists had previously thought. Each of these tremors also tells a unique story about Mars' geological activity and its ongoing evolution. As the fine waves travel through the Martian subsurface, they encounter different layers of rock, cavities, and strata. Within each of these layers, interacts with the quake waves through its own vibrational patterns. Based on the changes that the frequency patterns undergo as they travel through the planet, researchers can find out details about the planet's internal composition and makeup. Lucky meteorite impact, the question scientists have long sought answers to were whether Mars still has an active core in its interior, and why it evolved to become dust-dry and desolate today. By a lucky coincidence, both of these questions were answered. On the other side of Mars, a meteorite had hit and had caused vibrations, which went at once across the planet. These waves measured Mars virtually once in its entire cross-section, and thus finally provided scientists with the answer to the question of the core. Researchers were able to perceive for the first time that Mars does indeed have an active core. The surprise was that this core, which is about 1,830 kilometers wide, must be liquid. Throughout our Earth has a core of nearly solid iron surrounded by liquid materials and a crust creating an optimal stable magnetic field that protects us from influences from the cosmos. Mars' weak magnetic field was almost certainly responsible for leaving the planet almost defenseless against the bombardment of solar particles and cosmic rays. The magnetic field specifically protects us from radiation from the sun. The magnetic field lines catch the myriads of particles that hit our planet daily from the sun and guide them along their course lines into a kind of protective bag. On Mars, this protection may never have been as well developed as it is here. Solar winds and radiation from space hit our neighboring planet much harder. The atmosphere probably became thinner and thinner. Water escaped into space, retreated underground, or froze. If Mars really once was a world similar to Earth, that became desolate because of the lack of protection. A world with water, a mild climate, and perhaps plants or simple living things deep beneath the dusty surface of Mars. The Mars lander found evidence to support these theories. Measurements there showed another magnetic field 10 times stronger than scientists had previously thought. This ancient magnetic field, trapped in the rocks of Mars, provided evidence of a time when Mars had a denser atmosphere and possibly liquid water on its surface. The Song of Mars. While InSight was unraveling the seismic mysteries of Mars, the spacecraft encountered another unexpected sound inside, the mysterious hum that sounded almost like a ditty. After the heartbeats of Mars and the gentle whistling of the wind, it was now almost as if Mars was casually humming away. Astrogeologists describe this humming like a melody of Mars waiting to be understood by us. Compared to the barren and rocky surface, which has so far held few surprises except for endless landscapes and lots of rock, the sounds of the planet are a veritable treasure chest of new discoveries. No plates, but a crust. During its 4-year observing period, InSight's seismic experiment for interior structure surveyed nearly the entire interior of Mars. Like X-rays, the seismic waves ran through the planet and revealed, among other things, that Mars has no continental plates like Earth. Rather, the surface appears to resemble a single solid crust. Planetary scientists had long suspected this, and thanks to InSight, confirmation finally came. The crust turned out to be much thinner than expected, but regionally it has 2 or even 3 sublayers. The thickness of the simple crust is usually around 20 kilometers, where there are 2 or 3 sublayers. In addition to all these discoveries, InSight has studied Mars' volatile atmosphere, recorded hurricanes and real tornadoes, and collected thousands of data on wind speed and direction. Thanks to this information, scientists now have a comprehensive picture of the weather and climate on Mars. This data will, of course, be of paramount importance in preparing manned missions to Mars. Dwellings for humans who will one day study Mars on the ground must be optimally adapted to the weather conditions. No human being can survive on the planet for long outside a protected shelter. The harsh Martian climate was also felt by InSight. After surviving numerous sandstorms, so many deposits had formed that the solar panels were increasingly failing. After 4 successful mission years, the time came for InSight. The power supply was simply no longer sufficient. In December 2022, NASA announced the official end of the mission. NASA is the largest and most powerful space organization in the world. Time and time again, rumors abound that NASA has information about space and aliens that it does not want to share with the ordinary people of the world. Time and time again, whistleblowers have leaked suppressed images or made public statements about what is really going on. NASA, founded in 1958, oversees U.S. space projects and may hold information about space that isn't shared publicly. Rumors suggest NASA was founded to cover up information about a UFO sighting at Roswell. Some individuals claim NASA is hiding information about Mars and has edited photos. Critics argue that NASA's public images, particularly those from Mars, raise questions about what the agency might be withholding. In 2015, a circular formation resembling Stonehenge was discovered in images of the Martian surface. While NASA dismisses this as a coincidence, questions linger about the potential significance of such formations. Only by wind, weather, and erosion, but can we really be so sure? It's exactly this security with which NASA scientists repel each reference to the working of higher life forms outside of the Earth. Besides, NASA searches officially for exactly such traces. People are confused about this behavior of the space agency, and more doubts arise whether NASA does not play a gigantic confusion game around aliens on Mars or elsewhere. Until today, nobody knows who had the forces and also the mental ability thousands of years ago to establish structures like Stonehenge on Earth. So how will any Earthling know for sure who might have once lived on Mars and if this formation is really just due to chance and erosion? Mars pyramids. Since the 1970s, NASA is said to have kept photos of Martian pyramids under wraps until they leaked out. The number of pyramid-shaped structures on Mars is almost frightening. Not only the pyramids photographed in the 1970s are astonishingly reminiscent of the phenomenal structures on Earth. NASA's Curiosity rover has also captured brand new images of pyramids. The Curiosity rover is a car-sized one that has been traveling in the Gale crater on the surface of Mars for more than 10 years to study rock formations. Actually, the main goal of this space robot is to study the climate on Mars and its geology. The Gale crater may have once been filled with water until Mars mysteriously dried up. Computer simulations have found that several million years ago, our neighboring planet was a water world with a mild climate and possibly life. So how do we, or better NASA, for sure know that there was not also a civilization there whose former structures are now buried under thick layers of Martian dust? Allegedly, the habitable period had not been sufficient in order to let develop life according to terrestrial yardsticks, but exactly here the mistake could lie. Very probably we cannot compare the evolution on other planets with the development of life on Earth. Everything only optical illusions? When it comes to clearing up alien rumors on Mars, opponents of such theories like to bring up the example of the Martian face into play. This formation discovered in the 1970s resembles a human face. For decades, the image was the focus of speculation surrounding Martian humans. Then the image was demystified. In the present, the impression of a face was caused only by the play of light incidence and shadow, as well as a mental effect known as pareidolia. Pareidolia occurs when the brain suddenly sees things that resemble human structures in barren environments, such as rock and boulder deserts. Then impressions of faces and buildings suddenly appear in the rocks, and the Mars pyramids are also thought to be such illusions. Found more and more evidence that water on Mars might have retreated underground. Some UFO enthusiasts and science fiction lovers developed the theory that creatures still living on Mars today might have retreated underground as well. To be sure, even renowned researchers admit that the Martian subsurface could be a possible habitable environment for settlers in the future. Speculations that there are already underground settlements of an unknown civilization on Mars. Further evidence for the underground theory is said to be this photo. This rectangular door was discovered by the Mars rover Curiosity in a rock formation. The resemblance to a gateway or portal into underground rock worlds or cities, as we know them from Earth, is really convincing. At this site, who can't imagine a Martian quickly disappearing underground to avoid prying eyes? If we take a look at the dimensions of the door, however, a slight doubt arises even among the most die-hard alien friends. Because with only a little more than 30 centimeters in height, this gate is not much bigger than a double XXL cat flap. If this is really a portal to an underground Martian city, Martians must be very small people. NASA keeps this secret about Apollo 11. Finally, let's move on to the photos and secrets that came from astronauts. A great mystery of space travel is the Apollo 11 mission, in which astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon in the late 1960s. Since then, there have been rumors about what really happened on the moon. Already during the landing approach, there were problems because the contact to the two astronauts was interrupted for minutes. NASA almost thought they were lost, but then Armstrong and Aldrin reappeared. Instead of landing on a flat part of the moon, the two had to land their evil landing capsule on a very rugged part of the moon. This phase of the flight was not televised, nor did NASA acknowledge the FAA after the mission. But far stranger things are said to have happened on the lunar flight. Armstrong is reported to have said verbatim, "These babies are huge, sir. Enormous. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe it. I'm telling you, there are other spacecraft out there lined up on the edge of the crater watching us." Bender went public with his information after he resigned from NASA. NASA denied and at best labels people like Bender or Donna Hare as blowhards or disgruntled ex-subcontractors who wanted to get back at NASA by going public. But for the most part, people at NASA simply remain silent. The organization can afford to do so because it's accountable to no one but the US government and other governments and space agencies involved in its projects. In the nearly 50 years since the moon landing, again and again, sensational statements of Armstrong and Aldrin in private circles about sightings of extraterrestrials and speech prohibition imposed on the part of NASA have apparently been expressed. Therefore, the report about a bizarre finding after Armstrong's death in 2012 caused a sensation. The most famous astronaut of all time had apparently kept some suspicious objects from the Apollo mission in a casket in his closet, and not even Armstrong's wife knew about these things. As for what was leaked, it was claimed to be a photo camera and some smaller technical parts of the Eagle landing capsule. A fierce wave of speculation has again broken out about whether there was still film in the camera and what these photos might have shown. What did Ivan Wagner photograph? Russian cosmonaut Ivan Wagner was on the International Space Station, ISS, in 2020. While there, he filmed a series of 5 lights, which he spontaneously referred to as visitors. Unofficially, information is being traded that unknown flying objects are constantly appearing around the ISS. And once again, astronauts are said to have taken a vow of silence about these things before they are even approved for the programs. The term visitor is supposedly as normal for astronauts on the ISS as it is for us on Earth, except in this case the visitors are not people or a neighbor's cat. Wagner posted the photo on social media, commenting that he had reported his discovery to the Russian Space Agency. They classified the incident as interesting, but that was it. What's of the recently declassified photos of Venus that the Soviet Union hid in the 1970s reveal? Why are these photos causing an uproar among scientists? Long considered a former water world, how did it transform into an inferno of toxic gases and extreme heat? Venus, often called Earth's evil sister, holds secrets that could revolutionize our understanding of her. Join us now as we explore these questions and discover why the fate of Venus concerns us all. A hellish furnace, popular U.S. astronomer and planetary scientist Mikio Kaku said planets of contradiction. Actually, both could still be in the sun's habitable zone if they had atmospheres and strong magnetic fields. It's possible that that was once the case, but something has caused these planets to change in such a way that they are now inhospitable places. It remains our Earth as the only lonely, habitable, and life-friendly planet. But Earth is also changing, and we need to find out more about that change. Venus lies farther from the sun than Mercury and is much hotter than the little planet. Temperatures approaching 400 degrees C would melt even lead on Venus. Nevertheless, people have managed to place probes on this inhospitable world. The Soviet Union succeeded more than 40 years ago. So far, it's the only nation to have more accurate information about the surface of Venus, and important photographs may have been misappropriated. World-renowned physicist Michio Kaku now recalls these. The scientist cited the Soviet Union's remarkable photos of Venus as groundbreaking and important sources of information, even if they were taken some 40 years ago. More recently, Kaku gave a riveting presentation on our neighboring planet at a conference of astronomers and futurologists, sparking new enthusiasm for Venus thanks in no small part to the photographs released by the Soviet Union. Among other things, Kaku showed how to explain the volcanic activity on Venus, its lava flows and craters. The presentation offered impressive insights into the planet's past and illuminated its turbulent geologic history. In addition, Kaku showed evidence of signs of water erosion in the form of strikingly polished rocks and channels cut into the ground. This finding prompted researchers to speculate again about the planet's original temperature and the possibility of water on the surface. The race for Mars and Venus. Mars may one day be colonized by humans if models of terraforming prove viable. Perhaps the red planet could be transformed back into a world with an atmosphere. This is not the case with Venus. The planet is much too hot and too toxic. One may wonder why the Soviet Union invested vast sums to visit the planet and did not fly to Mars. Experts like Michio Kaku suggest that it was because of the competitive situation between the US and the Soviet Union at the time. The Soviets' plans to explore Venus with probes emerged around the time the US announced it would send the first humans to the Moon and then send humans to Mars. Before that, the Soviet Union had successfully put the first man into space, and at that time, Soviet spacecraft were also ahead of those of the United States. NASA stepped on the gas and pushed ahead with the Apollo missions. Fortunately, the Soviets turned their attention to Venus, and the tense Cold War rivalry between the two did not carry over to the Moon. The Soviet Union sought its own target with which to shine, and that was Venus, knowing full well that it would never be possible to send humans there. The probes that the Soviets built from the 1960s to the 1980s are now legend, as are the photos of Venus. The successes made the Soviet Union the first nation to put a probe on a planet. Before that, only orbiters had been in use. The fact that it succeeded on an inhospitable planet like Venus gave the Soviet Union the prestige it was looking for at the time. The Venera missions. The Soviet Union made history with its first successful landing of a spacecraft on Venus in 1970. Before Venera 7, several missions missed Venus, others landed, but the technology failed, so no data was sent. Regarding these failures, it must be honestly said today that it's almost a miracle that the seventh probe landed successfully and sent data at all. For Venus, despite its similarity to Earth in size and mass, is an incredibly hostile environment. The challenges begin with Venus's intense atmospheric pressure, which is about 92 times that of Earth. This is roughly equivalent to the pressure of nearly a kilometer deep below the surface of an earthly ocean. A human being would have had his lungs crushed here long ago. Then there is the extreme heat and toxic gases on Venus. Venus' atmosphere consists mainly of carbon dioxide, along with traces of sulfuric acid and other gases. The pervasive greenhouse effect on Venus leads to heat retention, making it the hottest planet in our solar system. Its average surface temperature reaches a scorching 460 degrees C. Venus' strong magnetic field, which protects the planet from the constant onslaught of the solar wind, can also disrupt or cause technical equipment to function differently than on Earth. In fact, to this day, Venus remains a formidable challenge to all who seek to explore it. Its unforgiving environment and extreme conditions make it the most difficult target for landings. Even after the initial failures, the Soviet Union continued its efforts and succeeded. The allure of conquering Venus's nastiness through technological know-how was the perfect target to prove the Soviet Union's superiority in space travel. The Venera 1 to 14 probes. Venera 1 was an extraordinary and very large probe, weighing in at around 700 kilograms. Like its successors, this probe had a carefully insulated interior. The purpose of the thick envelopes and layers was to ensure optical functioning of the instruments and to maintain a stable temperature inside them. The first Venera 1 probe is still considered a true testament to the ingenuity of our scientific endeavor. It would have been nice if this masterpiece of engineering had met with immediate success, but Venera 1 fell victim to the daring mission and flew past Venus. The Soviet Union did not give up because of this. Already on February 12, 1961, the second attempt was launched. Unfortunately, this mission encountered an obstacle on its way to Venus. Despite its valiant efforts, it too failed to reach its intended destination. However, it came within almost 100,000 kilometers of the fascinating planet. Venera 2 was already somewhat adapted outwardly. It resembled its predecessors, but the probe was lighter and provided better navigation capabilities. On February 27, 1966, this probe completed its flyby and came within 25,000 kilometers of its target, but then fate struck again and Venera 2 succumbed to the challenge of overheating. The spacecraft signals fell silent just short of the target, and again the Soviet Union did not give up. Venera 3 was the first successful landing on our sister planet, although not very successful, crashing on its surface. Venera 4 sent over 90 minutes of data collection as it descended through Venus's thick atmosphere on October 18, 1967. It found that there was no global magnetic field and that carbon dioxide levels in the air were quite high, as might be expected. Soon, it melted under the oppressive conditions of the planet's surface. In January 1969, Venera 5 and Venera 6 launched 5 days apart with identical designs. They were able to make precise measurements of ambient temperature, pressure, and composition as they penetrated Venus' atmosphere. The spacecraft looked like Venera 4, but were much more robustly built. Finally, Venera 7's descent module was much more advanced and was designed to provide a soft landing on Venus. The flight, which launched on August 17, 1970, was largely successful. The probe safely touched the surface on December 15, 1970, after about 30 minutes of free fall, only for some reason, the probe then flipped over. Although it was initially assumed that Venera 7 had failed, it surprisingly did provide usable data. The lander determined that the surface was over 482 degrees hot, roughly equivalent to a pizza oven. Unfortunately, the pressure sensor failed during the descent. Nevertheless, scientists were able to use the data provided to estimate that the surface pressure in the region was about 92 bars. Venera 8 landed on Venus on July 22, 1972. Just as Venera 7 did, except this time the spacecraft did not flip over. Venera 8 measured the ambient light levels on the surface in order to adapt future camera systems to the environment. Venera 9 through Venera 12 were then even more finely engineered and had cameras on board. The weight of the probes increased again to about 650 kilograms between 1975 and 78. These models landed, but the cameras failed during the first landings. This was not so much because of Venus itself, but because the lens covers would not open. However, some managed to transmit some fragmentary first images of the surface of Venus. There is something eerie about the first images taken by Venera 9 and 10. Sharp, detailed, and somewhat distorted in all directions, thanks to the wide-angle lenses that they used. They show a rocky, alien terrain stretching far into the distance. In addition to showing the surface, parts of the probes are also visible in the images. The first perfect panoramic images were finally provided by Venera 13 and 14, launched in 1981. These missions went down in the history of space travel, and the measurement data as well as the images are still considered the best that we have of vegetation, consisting mainly of rocks and soil. The dominant color of the scene is a yellowish-orange hue, created by the dense atmosphere. The spacecraft also collected data on air and ground temperature, pressure, wind speed, and the chemical composition of the atmosphere and surrounding landscape. Venera 15 and 16 were orbiters, not landers, and had state-of-the-art radar-based imaging equipment that monitored and mapped the entire planet from a safe distance and from elliptical orbits. Although Pioneer 12 was the first spacecraft to use radar to produce a map of Venus, the resolution of the maps produced by Venera 15 and 16 was superior by nearly 2 kilometers per pixel. These probes sent back fantastic detailed photos that showed large portions of the harsh environment with impact craters, high peaks, and basins flooded with lava. Several international space agencies have sent probes to Venus since the Venera missions, including the ESA and the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. The U.S. left its mark on Venus exploration with missions such as Pioneer 12 and the enormously successful Mariner program. Nevertheless, the Soviet Venera program was and remains the most intensive and successful Venus program of all time. Despite its enormous success, the Soviet Union never released all of its photos to the international scientific community. Only a few were released to the public, intended to depict the Soviet Union's triumph over the United States. The rest of the research, as well as the majority of the photos, were considered state secrets by the Soviet Union, and we're left to wonder to this day what the Soviets really know or knew about Venus. The state has long since perished. Today, the secrets may be held by Russia, or they may have been lost in the turmoil of the revolution. Two mysterious objects have entered our solar system in quick succession, causing chaos. To date, only one of these visitors has been clearly identified. The other remains a mystery and may even be a threat that is difficult to assess. But what is so unusual about these objects, and why could one of the two strange visitors even put us into great danger? We're investigating the matter. Stay tuned and join us for a look at the most amazing discovery of the last decade, never-before-seen objects. We know of many objects in our solar system that are not planets or moons. These include smaller celestial bodies such as asteroids, comets, and even meteorites. These objects all have one thing in common. They fly on relatively irregular courses through the solar system and can thereby become a danger. However, these objects originate without exception from our solar system. They are exciting relics of the earliest hours of our solar system, when in a fast-rotating dust disk, our star was born. Mass potentials were formed from which later planets were born, and some parts of matter also simply remained. These objects we know today as asteroids or comets. They are bundled in an asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter and in the outer edge of the solar system in the Kuiper belt. Every now and then an asteroid or comet shears off and then flies towards the sun. It's probable that gravitational shifts between the planets and the sun are to blame for this. These objects can become a hazard if they get on a collision course with Earth. For this reason, NASA and other space agencies are constantly monitoring the cosmos around Earth and throughout the solar system. Huge telescopes do nothing but protect us every day. They try to detect every object around the Earth, no matter how small, and determine the orbit and the origin of the object. The astronomers were actually sure they had the situation pretty well under control, but then something shocking happened. On October 19, 2017, the Pan-STRS Space Observatory in Hawaii reported finding an asteroid that had narrowly missed Earth. The shock was great because the object had only been discovered after it had already passed Earth. If the chunk had been on a collision course, we might have been unaware of it, and the impact would have hit us as if on a dead run. With an estimated size of 1,000 meters, the supposed asteroid would have been big enough to cause widespread devastation and possibly even trigger a global catastrophe. This shock was not yet digested properly, and the peculiarities began to go further. Already, the object that had passed so close to us could not be traced to an orbit that led into the Kuiper or asteroid belts. This part was also traveling much too fast for an asteroid. Calculations showed that the object had come to us from outside the solar system, making it the first interstellar object ever recorded. This object did not stop there, because what was it, where did it come from, and was there any danger from this thing? The object was given the Hawaiian name Oumuamua, which means first messenger from an alien world. On August 30th, 2019, Gennady Borisov, a Russian engineer and amateur astronomer, was looking into the twilight of the night over Crimea. While doing so, he noticed a moving object that resembled a comet but was moving in a very unusual way. The direction of motion was opposite to the usual trajectory of comets from the main asteroid belt. Borisov's curiosity was aroused, and a little later, scientists were faced with the second sensation. Comet Borisov had also clearly come from outside the solar system. Thus, Borisov was the second object that had penetrated from outside into our solar system. However, the Borisov object made it much easier for scientists than Oumuamua. The flying lump of rock was quickly and reliably identified as a comet, Comets, unlike asteroids, are composed of organic matter and often polluted water ice. They release dust and fine ice particles into the environment, forming the comet's distinctive tails. Nevertheless, Borisov remains a source of fascination. This comet had come to us from an alien solar system. After a long journey through the infinite reaches of the cosmos, it could be the relic of an ancient star-forming region, come from a star system millions of light years away, or be a messenger from a neighboring world. We don't know at this time. Borisov, composed of organic materials, could provide insights in the presence of water in space and potentially carry bacteria or microbes from another world. Its orbit is being monitored, and there may be a future probe sent to study it, similar to the Rosetta mission that landed on Comet Churyumov-Gerasimenko in 2014. While Borisov poses no immediate danger, the situation is different with Oumuamua. Oumuamua quickly revealed its origins from Vega, an alien star 147 trillion miles away. Initial measurements showed a perplexing shape with variable dimensions. While not large for a comet or asteroid, Oumuamua's speed and unusual flight behavior raised concerns. Traveling at an incredible 95,000 kilometers per second and exhibiting unpredictable movements, it posed a potential threat due to its unpredictable nature. Astronomer Avi Loeb suggested that it might be an artificial structure created by an intelligent extraterrestrial civilization. Its unusual properties and behavior, including its trajectory back toward the Pegasus constellation, have fueled speculation about its artificial origin. However, attempts to study it have yielded confusing data and failed to unlock its mysteries. Oumuamua's surface appeared rough yet artificially polished, and its composition, including unknown metallic components, defied traditional explanations. The possibility of Oumuamua being an alien spacecraft with a light sail has been proposed, leading to questions about the intentions of extraterrestrial beings. The object's enigmatic nature continues to intrigue and perplex scientists. Vega, a bright star, is 300,000 light-years away from us while being only 25 light-years away from Earth, and it periodically becomes our northern star due to the Earth's axial wobble, with shifts occurring every few thousand years. Astronomers discovered an asteroid belt surrounding Vega in 2013, suggesting the presence of exoplanets in the Vega system. Oumuamua could have originated from two regions around Vega if it is a natural object: an outer region containing icy asteroids and comets, and an inner asteroid ring containing warmer space rocks. The possibility of Oumuamua being an artificial object raises questions about its nature and origin. Although the theory of it being a probe holds a theoretical possibility, attempts to contact the object have failed, and its lack of emissions or electronic radiation raises doubts. Oumuamua's trajectory of about 300,000 years makes it unlikely for it to be a probe sent to spy on our solar system explicitly. It could potentially be a probe or technical device similar to our Voyager probes, continuing its journey after its initial mission. As Oumuamua slowly disappears from the solar system and becomes invisible to telescopes, the mystery surrounding its true nature and potential return persists. The object's enigmatic nature continues to fascinate astronomers and prompts ongoing exploration of this. An enigmatic object that originated from interstellar space was initially mistaken for an asteroid, but its unconventional behavior quickly revealed its unique nature. Despite intense scientific scrutiny for 11 days, its mysteries remained unsolved as it rapidly accelerated away from Earth. Now, Oumuamua has passed beyond Neptune's orbit and has become too distant for telescopic study, presenting a challenge for further investigation. In the past, the technology to detect objects like Oumuamua may not have existed, and even regular asteroids are difficult to observe as they do not emit light and can absorb most incoming light. Conversely, comets are often visible from Earth due to their bright, glowing nature when in near-Earth orbit. Upon its discovery, Oumuamua had already passed Earth and was near the Sun, where it unexpectedly accelerated by about 17 meters per second, a significant and puzzling deviation from known physics. Initial theories regarding Oumuamua's propulsion, such as solar winds, were dismissed as insufficient to explain its acceleration. Despite the best available images showing minimal detail, the object's light variations indicated an irregular shape, possibly a disk or cigar. Research into similar accelerating objects in our solar system pointed to comets, which gain thrust from evaporating ice when near the sun. However, Oumuamua showed no signs of such evaporation, leading to more speculative theories. Harvard professor Avi Loeb suggested in 2018 that Oumuamua could be extraterrestrial technology, potentially a light sail designed to harness solar winds for interstellar travel. This theory was met with skepticism, as the object's extremely thin profile would be unprecedented in nature. Contrarily, in 2020, postdoctoral researcher Alyssa Hall at Cornell University presented a study countering this notion. Scientists have been unable to conclusively classify Oumuamua as a comet, asteroid, or artificial object due to its unusual shape, size, and reflective properties. The question of its origin and true nature has sparked heated debate, with plausible explanations including scenarios ranging from it being a fragment of a celestial body from a distant star system to a piece of alien technology. Its unique acceleration, which cannot be explained by known astrophysical mechanisms, suggests the possibility of it being a new category of celestial object dubbed dark comets. Key details about Oumuamua include its discovery in October 2017 by the Pan-STARS project, its unusual elongated shape and unpredictable trajectory, and its status as the first recognized interstellar object to enter our solar system. While Oumuamua's appearance has raised questions, it is possible that numerous similar interstellar objects have previously traversed our solar system, presenting an intriguing area for future exploration. It's hypothesized that Oumuamua's lack of detectable outgassing could be due to it emitting an invisible gas like hydrogen, explaining the absence of observed evaporation. This led to theories proposing that Oumuamua was composed mainly of hydrogen, potentially a hydrogen iceberg that sublimated due to solar heat, producing the observed thrust. Following an argument between researchers, a revised theory suggested that Oumuamua was propelled by escaping pure hydrogen gas. Ultimately, support for this theory was found in a laboratory, leading to the proposal of dark comets as a new category of celestial objects. Research revealed 6 similar objects in our solar system with unexplainable non-gravitational acceleration akin to Oumuamua. In 2031, a Japanese probe is expected to study these peculiar near-Earth objects, potentially shedding light on the true nature of Oumuamua and similar phenomena. However, with Oumuamua now out of reach, it remains uncertain whether either theory is correct. This reinforces the idea that as we continue to explore the universe, we may encounter more unexpected phenomena, offering opportunities for further understanding. In the 1960s to 1980s, the Soviet Union achieved significant success in exploring Venus with technically advanced probes, leading to a deep understanding of the planet. However, concerns have been raised by Neil deGrasse Tyson about the possibility of the Soviet Union withholding important information about Venus. Recent claims from a Russian study suggest the presence of aliens on Venus, raising questions about the extent of information sharing during the Cold War era. NASA's renewed interest in Venus, prompted by the detection of potential life-related phosphine in its atmosphere, signifies a shift from previous focus on Mars. This shift reflects the importance of understanding the past evolution and climate of Venus and its potential Da Vinci Plus and Veritas missions, each with a budget of $500 million to study Venus' atmosphere and surface, aiming to determine its evolutionary history and the potential presence of microbial life. These missions could provide crucial insights into the desolation of Venus and Mars, offering valuable lessons for Earth's future. NASA has decided to shift its focus to Venus, a departure from its recent emphasis on Mars exploration. With more than 40 spacecraft having visited Venus to date, NASA's last mission, the Magellan mission, was launched in 1990 and provided the first mapping of the planet's surface. Currently, Japan's Zakatsuki is the only spacecraft orbiting Venus, but it has not detected any signs of life and faced challenges with its intended mission position and timing. In the 1960s, Venus presented a formidable and enigmatic challenge for space exploration. While NASA considered Venus hostile and extreme, the Soviet Union prioritized missions to the planet as a demonstration of technological superiority. The Soviet Union's focus on Venus, in contrast to the U.S. emphasis on Mars, reflected the space race and geopolitical motivations of the Cold War era. The Soviet Union's Venera missions, conducted from 1961 to 1983, demonstrated significant advancements and successes despite initial failures, ultimately showcasing its engineering and scientific prowess. Speculation regarding the Soviet Union's intentions on Venus, such as establishing a military base or colonization, emerged later, but officially, the focus remained on successful probe missions. Despite early setbacks, the Soviet Union persevered, launching nearly 30 missions to Venus, with increasing success over time. The Venera missions in particular saw 13 probes entering Venus' atmosphere and 8 landing successfully, marking significant achievements in the exploration of the planet. The Venera missions made significant advancements in exploring Venus. Venera 3, in 1966, was the first man-made object to impact another planet. Venera 4 measured Venus' atmosphere, revealing a predominance of CO2, and Venera 9 captured the first images of another planet's surface in 1975. Furthermore, Venera 13 provided sound recordings and remarkable images of Venus' surface, sparking speculation about potential life forms based on unpublished images analyzed by Dr. Leonid Fomalidi. However, the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 led to the emergence of conspiracy theories and secret findings from the Venera 13 mission, though concrete evidence is lacking. Additionally, dark matter, a mysterious cosmic phenomenon, is believed to have played a role in forming early universe stars that shone brighter than any stars known today. This discovery suggests a potential new category of stars. The James Webb Space Telescope has revealed surprising observations of very old galaxies, brighter and more regular than expected. Scientists are researching this phenomenon to understand the early evolution of stars and celestial bodies. The telescope's capability to potentially identify the oldest objects hinges on the assumed age of the universe. Scientists speculate the existence of a new type of star, possibly powered by dark matter, shining as brightly as a galaxy. Notably, the recent discovery of galaxy candidates JAVES D, JAS C10, C12, and C13 indicates the telescope's ability to study the universe's earliest galaxies. Using a new infrared technique, the JWST enables detailed analysis of old and distant objects to determine their age and distance by measuring the redshift. The James Webb Space Telescope's discovery of extremely bright and possibly ancient galaxies challenges previous theories, sparking intense debate among scientists. Some believe these objects could disprove the Big Bang theory, while others cautiously suggest they might be accretion disks around black holes or unknown early stars. The intriguing dark star theory proposes that massive stars powered by dark matter released immense energy, potentially shining as brightly as entire galaxies before collapsing or exploding. The uncertainties surrounding these discoveries have led to new speculations and theories within the scientific community. The ongoing controversy underscores the importance of understanding the early cosmos and may prompt further advancements in telescope technology to unveil the truth. Financial investment and debates in natural science reflect the pursuit of understanding fundamental laws governing our universe. Exploring the cosmos' beginnings can aid in comprehending forces that have shaped current cosmological situations and potential future dominance of matter. The vastness of the cosmos holds answers to pressing energy, space travel, and medical questions, with potential profound impacts on humanity. Additionally, this research holds philosophical and spiritual significance as it is intertwined with questions of our origin and existence. Although cosmology faces uncertainties, ongoing discoveries will lead to new knowledge and potentially resolve fundamental questions about the universe's meaning. Notably, Jupiter continues to surprise scientists with its violent storms, metallic ocean, and complex nature, challenging previous assumptions about the planet's behavior and significance in the solar system. Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system, exhibits remarkable characteristics and mysteries. Despite its gas giant composition primarily composed of hydrogen and helium, it holds an ocean of metallic hydrogen, constituting approximately 10% of its inner structure. Plunging deeper into Jupiter's layers, this metallic hydrogen generates intense magnetic fields, fostering spectacular auroras and distinctive phenomena such as the Great Blue Spot and the Great Cold Spot. The Juno space probe has provided valuable insights into Jupiter's composition and magnetic fields, unraveling its complex structure. Despite the challenges posed by Jupiter's extreme gravity and environment, ongoing scientific exploration seeks to further comprehend its enigmatic features. The Great Cold Spot on Jupiter, located in the planet's thermosphere, experiences significantly lower temperatures compared to its surroundings, as low as 600 degrees Celsius compared to the usual 800 degrees Celsius. This spot, which appears intermittently and is linked to the formation of auroras, is thought to be connected to the transfer of energy during intense auroras that leads to the creation of the cold vortex. Water vapor, a significant find, makes up about 0.25% of Jupiter's atmosphere above the equator. Researchers have also discovered large amounts of water in Jupiter's Great Red Spot, confirmed by the Juno spacecraft. Jupiter's influential role in stabilizing the orbits of planets and decreasing impacts in the inner solar system over millions of years is an area of ongoing study. However, recent findings are raising doubts about Jupiter's role as a protector, particularly with regards to long-period comets originating from distant regions of the solar system, which could potentially pose a threat to Earth. Jupiter's gravitational influence is vital in protecting Earth from potential impacts by diverting asteroids and comets away from our planet. However, Jupiter's immense gravity not only prevents nearby space rocks from forming into a planet and causes asteroids to accumulate in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, but it can also push asteroids out of the belt, increasing the likelihood of collisions with Earth. Jupiter's gravitational pull has diverted comets towards Earth in the past, such as Comet Lexel, and its influence may also affect Mercury's orbit in the future. While Jupiter's impact on our solar system can be both beneficial and problematic, it is a celestial body of great fascination and importance. Regarding the news about Neil Armstrong after his passing, his family disclosed shocking details about his dramatic final years, including the unexpected circumstances of his death. Following a routine heart surgery in the summer of 2012, Armstrong suffered from a lack of care after the procedure, which led to his rapid deterioration and eventual passing. These revelations have sparked widespread shock and concern about the treatment of a national hero by his widow, Carol, found a small box containing old lunar mission mementos and his personal belongings. These items, including technical parts and a camera from the 1960s, were likely kept as souvenirs of the Apollo 11 mission and are believed to be worth six figures today. Carol was unaware of the box's existence, suggesting that Armstrong kept it privately as a testament to his achievement as the first man on the moon. This discovery reaffirms Armstrong's enduring pride in his lunar landing, despite retiring from public life and space missions. Concerning the moon landing's authenticity, while rumors of a staged landing surfaced in the late 1980s, no conclusive evidence has been found to support these claims. Expert examinations of the filmed footage and photographs confirm their authenticity, dispelling notions of a hoax. Additionally, the concealed aspect of the moon landing in 1969 was the challenging landing on the moon, marred by technical failures and a brief loss of radio contact with Earth, highlighting the difficulties faced during this historic event. Before landing on the moon, precautions were in place to address any potential mishaps. However, given Buzz Aldrin's expertise, he successfully and manually landed the Eagle despite encountering challenges, such as landing off course in a rocky, cliff-laden area. Upon regaining contact with ground control, the astronauts were warned about the sharp moon rocks. The two were too excited to rest before their lunar walk, and despite being advised to take a nap, they proceeded with the historic event. Additionally, there were rumors of a concealed radio message about sightings of extraterrestrial spacecraft at the moon's edge, though these claims have not been officially confirmed. The forgotten third astronaut, Michael Collins, had a unique experience orbiting the moon's far side, being the first person to witness it, and he experienced a profound, solitary space journey. Though rumors of alien bases and stranded spaceships on the moon persist, no substantial evidence has validated these claims. Unconfirmed rumors have suggested that astronauts retrieved well-preserved female bodies from a spacecraft on the moon, along with claims of increased extraterrestrial activity in the early 1980s. However, these assertions lack substantial evidence to support them. Shifting focus to Neptune, the planet's latest discoveries and findings have been made possible by the James Webb Space Telescope, capturing a remarkable image of Neptune and its rings in September 2022. This image unveils the planet's previously unseen fine dust rings and provides new insights into Neptune's composition and dynamics, shedding light on its moons and its potential to support an ocean of hot water and life forms. Despite its remoteness, Neptune remains an intriguing and enigmatic ice giant in our solar system, with significant potential for further exploration and discovery. Neptune, the enigmatic ice giant, has proven to be more dynamic and captivating than previously believed. Recent discoveries suggest that Neptune's solid core may be more significant than initially thought, possibly harboring a warm internal ocean beneath its icy exterior. Surprisingly, the planet experienced significant cooling between 2003 and 2018, accompanied by a rise in temperatures at the South Pole. These changes provided evidence of internal heating, possibly from gravitational interactions with its moon Triton, sparking discussions about the potential for life on Neptune. Neptune's peculiarities go beyond its internal dynamics, encompassing its climatic phenomena, such as powerful storms and extreme winds, akin to those found on Jupiter. Additionally, the planet's unique 28 degrees axis tilt and long seasons contribute to its distinct character. The stunning discovery of Neptune's vivid blue hue, attributed to its methane-rich atmosphere, has intrigued scientists, prompting investigations into its atmospheric composition and coloring. One of the most captivating aspects of Neptune is its largest moon, Triton, which orbits the planet in a retrograde fashion and exhibits active volcanism, intriguing researchers about its origins and interactions with Neptune. These fascinating findings continue to redefine our understanding of this distant planet and its moons, unlocking a realm of secrets at the outer edge of our solar system.